Hello there, YouTube. It is Saint Riot, and as promised before, I said I was going to try and make a build. In my last video, I was playing around with it at 40 on an old build I have. I just kind of respec'd it, and I was trying, hey, what would happen if we used Rotted Wing Sword Insignia on the Gavel of Haima? I learned that the Gavel of Haima procs the Rotted Wing Sword Insignia, as well as the Thorny Cracked Tear in your Wondrous Physic. It can proc that with a single hit, making the rest of your spells that you're going to do hit even harder, which is funny. And here's a way we can test out AR, is by hitting this cannon. It's got a dude attached to it, does the cannon, so we're hitting two things at once, and boom, 1100 AR. Not bad. That was on the right-hand weapon. On the left-hand weapon, something like 593, closer to 600. It is Friday night, Saturday morning now. My power was out all day on Friday, all day. And so I slept all day. Now I am awake and editing videos, and usually on Friday I have a couple drinks. During my live stream, I wasn't able to live stream because I didn't have any electricity, so that tradition is carried over to you now. So cheers, YouTube. We are having a golden monkey. It's not a brass monkey, but it is still that funky monkey. Rest in peace to MCA. So, legitimately, the Beastie Boys are legitimate. Alright? I don't know if anybody thinks otherwise, but if you think otherwise, you are completely wrong. The Beastie Boys, one of the greatest hip-hop groups of all time, up there with Outkast and Wu-Tang Clan, in my opinion. Okay, so, we're playing around with this build. We need to go into New Game Plus with it, but I'm not willing to do that on a Friday night when I'm sitting around having some drinks. Just want to do some invasions, right? We need to go into New Game Plus so we can get Millicent's prosthesis to buff this build even further. But for right now, we'll just goof off and, hit people and see if any big numbers come up. And it'll be a good time. I don't know if I showed it off in the stat screen, but I also added Godfrey's icon to this build at a certain point. So watch as I'm like swapping talismans around and check and see if I've got Godfrey's on. Because I didn't have it on for some of these invasions, and then I added it later. Godfrey's icon makes Carrion Piercer hit like an absolute truck. It is insane. Bleed build guy, but we're level 150 as I showed off earlier. So bleed build guy, far less scary than possible. So one of the things I like about invading at like level 125 or 150 is at that level you have a plus 25 weapon, and you expect and know your opponents will have level 125 weapons. As a result of you leveling up, you got a little bit of defense on you. You come to expect how much damage builds are going to do. At low level, one of the problems with the downscaling issue is that they don't downscale the amount of bleed buildup on a weapon. So as you upgrade a weapon from plus 0 to plus 25, you're increasing the bleed buildup of that weapon, right? You following me so far? Okay, so when they downscale a Phantom, what they end up doing is they just decrease the damage of his weapon. What they don't decrease is the amount of stamina damage that Phantom does on a block. Look at all these beautiful spells going off. Just incredible. My opponent's out of FP. But yeah. What they don't do is they don't take into account, like stamina damage. So like if a guy has a plus 25 weapon and he hits your plus 4 shield, he's just gonna break it, and it's the same thing with build-up, with status build-up. As you level up a weapon, the status build-up levels up as well, which is why you'll see those over-leveled password summoned Phantoms, their bleed builds just immediately, you know, bleed you out or poison you or whatever the case may be. So that's something to remember. If you're doing low-level invasions and you see a bleed build, assume that it's like a level 600 bleed build with a with a plus 25 weapon. You know, just assume that. And if it turns out you're wrong, then great. But if it, you know, always err on the side of caution there. Still no Godfrey icon, it looks like, in this invasion. And if I'm not mistaken, this invasion will end with like an 1100 damage carry and piercer, which is pretty good for not having Godfrey's icon. And as always, it's important to remember when an invasion ends on damage, you could have always gotten more damage. You know what I'm saying? You just did as much damage as they could take. There's always the potential for you to have done more damage, right? Another reason Godfrey's icon is so good is Cannon of Haima. Cannon of Haima rules so hard, and with Godfrey's icon, it's just an absolute nuke. You know, with that and the Graven Mass Talisman, so good. Like I don't even feel naked running around without a ballista or a jar cannon because I have the Cannon of Haima on this build. Same with my Pyromancer. Like I can run around without ballista or jar cannon because I've got Giant's Flame Take Thee. You know, it just fills that void, and it can do the same thing. And these people that want to like this is the problem. This is the thing that I just don't understand. Like the co-opers' best bet is to just rush me down. And interestingly enough, my best bet is to get all three co-opers in one place at one time. We are all working towards the same common goal here, you know? But they just, like, there's a dog and a dog warrior over here. If all three of them jumped down, you know, and they took out the dog and the dog warrior, like, you know, we'd be golden. But they're not going to do that. They want to stay there and, you know, just kill every single enemy before they come in and fight me. I understand why they want to do it, but, like, just logically, it doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? Because if I see you kill all those enemies, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go set myself up somewhere else. We're just, like, fighting to get to the point in the invasion where we need to get to. And when they are putting that off, you know, like I'm not just gonna attack three people, you know, that you'll absolutely blender me, and it doesn't matter, you know. So like here we go. Okay, Crucible Knight. Here's a great place for like the actual fight to go down. Something will change here. Either one of them will die, or I will. You know what I mean? This is a beautiful little spot right here. It's just, it took so long to get us to this point. As you could tell, I've been like cutting in and out. The Phantom died behind me, but so too was the Crucible Knight about dead, and so I was a little hesitant to stick around there. So there's the Crucible Knight dying, and there's the flask for the Phantom dying. But now, now that we have an idea of what's going on, which Phantom it was that died, not the Spellcaster, it's the other one. You know, now we can go back to the Grace, and we can fight these guys if they're up for it. But, of course, it's just the Phantom, so now it's going to be a whole other thing of running around, you know. Going for the Slicer spam, which is, you know, pretty good play, but you're going to need more than that. My damage is also insane, you know what I mean? We all have crazy damage here. This blue, though, has a fun, cool build. He's like the Beastmaster, who you invade here. You invade Bernal, who's wearing that Beastmaster armor. And this dude's got all of the Malekith stuff, so that's a pretty cool little setup on this build here, and we have a pretty good little fight. The wonderful spacing on that Carrion Greatsword right there, the Carrion Greatsword follow-up, and then the R1 Straight Sword True Combo afterwards. Lovely stuff, lovely stuff. And this is what I was talking about with the 1100 damage Carrion Piercer. I remember this because it was a lot of damage. Interestingly enough, this dude going all out with Radahn's Curved Greatsword Crouch Pokes. I have not seen anybody do that before. But, like, it doesn't have good range, you know? But he was going for it, God bless him, and that's pretty cool. An interesting thing happens here. I don't get the proc. I don't get the buff on the gavel there. I've seen people theorize that the reason you're getting that proc is because the hammer hitbox and then the shockwave. Which, maybe? But, like, most of the time, if you get knocked down by something, you only take one of the hits. You know what I'm saying? If something hits twice and you're knocked down by the first thing, you don't take damage from the second, is the way it typically goes. But maybe that is the case, because that guy did not get hit flush by the hammer, and it didn't set off my buff. This wizard trying to hit me with the jellyfish cannon of Haima, but he's got like 15 hit points, man. Wild stuff. This is another one. This one also ends with Carrion Piercer, but unfortunately for us, this dude only has like 500 hit points by the time we hit him with it. But yeah, we do get the hammer buff there for 1280 damage. 1280 damage on his gavel. Well, okay, maybe not. Maybe some of that was poison. Maybe that was some of his poison. Okay, yeah. That would be insane. 1200 damage on a gavel. I don't know what it was. 390 to 1280. So about an 800 damage gavel of Haima there. He had 390 damage ticked off from Scarlet Rot, and then 1280 or whatever I said after the gavel hit. So it's about an 800 damage gavel, which is still pretty good. But yeah, the Carrion Piercer there would have been the real story had he had hit points, but he did not. Anyway, next time you see this build, it will have Millicent's prosthesis, making this even more insane. I'll see you then. Until that day, later, y'all.